The long-awaited criminal trial of R&B superstar R. Kelly in a New York federal court. We aren't permitted to broadcast the trial, but ABC News consultant Brian Buckmire and his team at the Law and Crime Network have been watching it all from the court's closed video feed. Brian joins us now to help us break it all down. Brian, thank you.
My pleasure, Phil. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start with a quick reminder for folks who haven't been tied to this case like you. What are the New York federal charges against R. Kelly?
So the federal charges are racketeering, specifically of the RICO Act. That's Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organization. And there's some underlying charges associated with that: kidnapping, bribery, forced labor, sex trafficking. And then you also have the Mann Act. Now, the Mann Act goes back to 1910, which basically says that you are not allowed to transport any girls or women for the purpose of any immoral act, debauchery, or for sexual gratification or pleasure in that sense. So those are the main charges he's facing, and some of the underlying ones as well.
Very serious charges. So can you tell us what happened today?
So today we saw at least two witnesses take the stand. First was one of his runners, as they call him, kind of like a manager. He spoke about some of the details connecting the dots for the prosecution, how he would transport girls who looked very young. He didn't just say 18, 17. He said they looked even younger than that, and how they had to follow certain rules, not just the girls, but he himself. If a girl wanted to eat, wanted to leave a certain room, if he saw a girl walking through the halls, he would have to ask her what she is doing, and then make sure to reaffirm that R. Kelly or someone else gave them permission. We also saw the cross-examination of that person as well, and he was talking about, on cross-examination at least, how this is so unique. He's worked for Jay-Z, he's worked for Kanye West, he's worked for Taylor Swift. But once he crossed through that gate, his words were that it was like the twilight zone, something very different.
We heard opening statements earlier this week, of course, as you talked about, and an accuser's testimony. What for you have been the most compelling moments of the first days of this trial?
So everyone, I think, is walking into this trial believing that if there are so many accusers, there must be some level of truth. And so the surprising part for me is the defense's argument, how the defense is combating this. Not necessarily disagreeing that he had sexual relations with these individuals, but trying to paint that these were, quote unquote, the word even came out, groupies, or insinuating there are stalkers following R. Kelly. It was very peculiar for them to come out and call him a victim, but you can see how they're trying to weave that narrative. Now, it's going to be very hard to call an international pop star or rock star, as they refer to him, as the victim when it comes to the sexual gratification of minors and the assault allegations. But that's what's surprising to me, how they're trying to create that narrative.
Yeah, so just to follow up on that narrative, we're hearing the prosecution's case right now. Obviously, the defense will present its case in the coming days. But from the opening statement and the cross-examinations that you've been able to witness, are you getting a sense of exactly how R. Kelly plans to defend himself?
Absolutely. It's a very interesting technique that a lot of defense attorneys use when the facts are not on your side and they fit so perfectly the elements of a crime, and that goes to the benefit of the prosecution. Here, I think what the defense is trying to do, which I've only seen in law school discussions or in cases where we kind of discuss them as students, he's trying to make the argument that, well, yes, this is statutory rape. Having sex with a minor is a crime, that he was somehow bamboozled, somehow fooled, somehow targeted by these women who lied and showed fake IDs. One of the major points that I saw was with the first Jane Doe who testified, Jerronda Pace, when they brought in the settlement agreement, where she, along with her mother, signed, saying that she told R. Kelly that she was 19 and provided an ID that said that she was 19. Now, that's not a defense under the law. It's strict liability if you have sex or any kind of sexual interactions with a minor. But this argument that he was duped or fooled, especially because it came out that he cannot read or write, I think that's a defense that some people are kind of raising an eyebrow to as to whether or not it will actually work.
Yeah, there's a lot of trial left. We know you're going to be following it for us. We'll have you back on the show. Brian Buckmire, thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.